Number 1. Vader's deadly confrontation. Let's jump straight into one of the most heartbreaking moments in Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka Tano's showdown with Darth Vader on Malachor. This isn't just any duel. This is the former Padawan facing her corrupted master in a Sith temple, and it's absolutely devastating. In the Season 2 finale, Twilight of the Apprentice, Ahsoka finally confirms what she suspected. Anakin Skywalker, her beloved master from the Clone Wars, is truly gone. When Vader's mask cracks during their fight, revealing Anakin's scarred face and that distorted voice, Ahsoka refuses to abandon him. "I won't leave you," she tells him. "Then you will die," he responds. The temple collapses around them in a massive explosion, and we're left with what appears to be Ahsoka's death. Or at least, that's what we thought for over a year of real-world time. The duel takes place in 2 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, making it roughly 2 years before A New Hope. Ahsoka was approximately 34 years old at this point, having survived Order 66, the rise of the Empire, and years of operating in the shadows as the rebellion's intelligence agent Fulcrum. For her story to seemingly end here, crushed beneath a Sith temple while trying to save a man who no longer existed, felt tragically poetic. But Star Wars had other plans. What makes this moment so crucial to understanding Ahsoka's absence during the original trilogy is that it literally removes her from the timeline. She didn't go into hiding on some remote planet or get captured by the Empire. Something far stranger happened, and it involves one of the most reality-bending concepts in Star Wars canon. Hyped for more Star Wars lore? Hit that hype button to show the algorithm you're ready for deeper dives into the galaxy far, far away. Your support keeps these explainers coming. May the Force be with you. Number 2. Ezra's time-bending rescue. Here's where things get wild. In Season 4 of Rebels, the episode A World Between Worlds, Ezra Bridger discovers something absolutely mind-blowing hidden within the Lothal Jedi Temple. A mystical plane of existence that exists outside normal space and time. This place, the World Between Worlds, is essentially the Force's greatest cheat code, a cosmic nexus where all moments in time are connected through countless doorways. Picture an endless cosmic void filled with pathways and glowing portals, each one a window into a different moment across the galaxy's history. Through these portals, Ezra can literally hear voices from across time. Obi-Wan talking to Luke, Qui-Gon's dying words, Yoda's teachings, and crucially, Ahsoka's voice, calling out during her fight with Vader. When Ezra reaches through one of these portals during the exact moment the Malachor temple explodes, he physically pulls Ahsoka out of that timeline and into the world between worlds. Let that sink in. Ahsoka Tano was saved by time travel. Or more accurately, she was saved by the Force itself through Ezra's intervention, occurring in 0 BBY, the same year Luke Skywalker would destroy the first Death Star. This isn't some cheap resurrection. This is established canon from Rebels, and it fundamentally explains why Ahsoka vanishes from galactic events. Inside this mystical realm, Ahsoka and Ezra have a brief but crucial conversation. She's confused, disoriented, and grief-stricken over what happened with Anakin. Ezra wants to save Kanan, his master who recently died, but Ahsoka warns him against tampering with time. When Emperor Palpatine himself attempts to enter the world between worlds, because of course he does, the man's obsessed with cheating death, Ahsoka helps Ezra escape before returning to her own timeline through a portal back to Malachor. The last image we see in Rebels Season 4, Episode 13, is Ahsoka walking back down into the ruins of the Sith Temple, alone, with the sun setting behind her. And then, nothing. For years of galactic history, she's just gone. Number 3. Lost between worlds. So where exactly was Ahsoka Tano, while Luke Skywalker was blowing up Death Stars and Han Solo was getting frozen in carbonite? The honest answer is, we don't fully know, and that's actually the point. Canon materials have been deliberately vague about this period, but we can piece together some educated theories based on what we do know. When Ahsoka walked back into that Malachor temple in 0 BBY, she was returning to a galaxy that had moved on without her. The rebellion she helped establish as Fulcrum was growing. The Death Star had just been completed, and her former master, now fully consumed by his Vader persona, was hunting down the remaining Jedi with ruthless efficiency. But Ahsoka didn't rejoin the rebellion. She didn't contact her old friends like Captain Rex or Hera Syndulla. She essentially went dark. Several factors likely influenced this decision. First, her experience in the world between worlds probably left her psychologically and spiritually shaken. She'd just witnessed Palpatine attempting to corrupt that sacred space and experienced something no other Jedi had, being yanked out of space-time itself. She needed time to process not just Anakin's fall, but also this cosmic-level Force experience that redefined her understanding of reality. Second, Ahsoka may have deliberately stayed away from the rebellion to protect it. Vader was obsessively hunting anyone connected to his past. If Ahsoka, his former apprentice who'd fought him on Malachor and somehow survived, suddenly popped up with the Rebel Alliance, she'd bring his full attention crashing down on them. Her absence might have been strategic, a sacrifice to keep the fledgling rebellion safer. This aligns with Ahsoka's character. She's always been willing to walk away from organizations she loves if she believes it serves the greater good, just like when she left the Jedi Order during the Clone Wars. Third, the physical and mental aftermath of her duel with Vader shouldn't be underestimated. That fight took everything out of her, and recovery, both from injuries and trauma, could have taken considerable time. Add the need to remain hidden from the Empire's vast surveillance network, and you have years of necessary isolation. 4. Rebellion's silent guardian. Here's a fascinating question that divides fans. Could Ahsoka have made a difference during the original trilogy if she'd been active? And if so, why wasn't she? Let's consider the major events she missed. The Battle of Yavin happened in 0 BBY, the same year she returned from the world between worlds. The Battle of Hoth occurred in 3 ABY, and the Battle of Endor in 4 ABY. These were defining moments for the rebellion. Desperate fights where every skilled fighter mattered. Ahsoka, by this point, a master-level combatant with decades of experience, could theoretically have been an incredible asset. But there's a compelling counter-argument. Maybe Ahsoka's greatest contribution was staying away. The rebellion's victory came not from having the most powerful Force users, but from ordinary people coming together. Farm boys, smugglers, princesses, and soldiers. Luke Skywalker needed to grow into his power naturally. His journey to become a Jedi, to redeem his father, and to reject the Emperor's temptations was deeply personal. Would Ahsoka's presence have helped or complicated that arc? There's also the practical reality that the rebellion was constantly on the move, operating from hidden bases that even their own people sometimes didn't know the locations of. Ahsoka's old Fulcrum network had likely been compromised or dissolved by the time of the original trilogy. Without those intelligence connections, she'd have been just another person in a galaxy of trillions, trying to survive under Imperial rule. Some fans theorize Ahsoka might have been conducting her own operations, small-scale missions, rescuing Force sensitives, or disrupting Imperial operations in ways that never made the historical record. This would be consistent with her character. She's never been one to sit idle when there's injustice to fight. However, canon sources haven't confirmed any specific activities during this period, leaving it open to speculation and future storytelling. 5. After Endor's victory. The galaxy changed forever when Luke Skywalker redeemed Anakin Skywalker and Emperor Palpatine fell down that reactor shaft on the second Death Star. The Battle of Endor, 4 ABY, marked the beginning of the end for the Galactic Empire and the dawn of the New Republic. And finally, after years of absence, Ahsoka Tano returned to the story. The epilogue of Star Wars Rebels, which takes place in 5 ABY, gives us our first glimpse of Ahsoka since Malachor. She arrives on Lothal, Ezra Bridger's homeworld, wearing white robes and carrying a walking staff, looking every bit the wandering Force user she's become. But she's not alone. Sabine Wren, the Mandalorian artist and warrior, is waiting for her. Why does Ahsoka return now? The answer is Ezra. During the finale of Rebels, Ezra sacrificed himself to save Lothal by summoning a pod of Purrgil, hyperspace-capable creatures resembling whales, to drag Grand Admiral Thrawn's Star Destroyer into hyperspace and far into the unknown regions. Both Ezra and Thrawn vanished, leaving their friends with no idea where they'd gone or if Ezra was even alive. Sabine, who'd grown incredibly close to Ezra and considered him family, has been waiting on Lothal ever since, guarding his home and hoping for his return. The epilogue's narration, delivered by Sabine herself, reveals that she and Ahsoka are about to embark on a journey to find Ezra. "Come on," Ahsoka says with a slight smile. "Let's go." And with that, they board Sabine's ship and leave Lothal behind, beginning a quest that would consume the next several years of their lives. This moment shows that Ahsoka wasn't just hiding during the post-Endor period. She was preparing, planning, and gathering allies for a mission that only became possible once the Empire fell. Why wait until after Endor? Because searching the unknown regions, the vast, uncharted area of the galaxy where Ezra and Thrawn disappeared, would have been impossible under Imperial rule. The Empire controlled hyperspace routes, monitored all long-range travel, and would have intercepted any attempt to mount an expedition into those dangerous territories. Only with the Empire's defeat could Ahsoka and Sabine realistically attempt this rescue mission. Number 6. Sabine's Jedi training. The relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine Wren is one of the most compelling dynamics introduced in recent Star Wars content, and it's central to understanding what Ahsoka was doing post-Endor. When they reunite on Lothal, these two women, both warriors, both survivors, both deeply connected to Ezra, form a partnership built on mutual respect and a shared mission. But it's more than that. Ahsoka becomes Sabine's Jedi Master. Wait, Sabine training as a Jedi? The Mandalorian weapons expert and artist who'd shown minimal Force sensitivity during Rebels? Yes, and it's brilliant character development that the Ahsoka series explores in depth. According to the Disney Plus series, which aired in 2023, Ahsoka took Sabine on as her Padawan sometime after the Rebels epilogue, attempting to train her in the ways of the Force despite Sabine's extremely limited natural ability. This training wasn't successful in the traditional sense. Sabine struggled to connect with the Force, and their master-apprentice relationship became strained. Eventually, Ahsoka made the difficult decision to stop training Sabine, believing she wasn't ready. Not because Sabine lacked skill or dedication, but because Ahsoka feared Sabine's emotional attachments, particularly to Ezra, and reckless tendencies made her dangerous with Force abilities. This created a rift between them that wouldn't fully heal until the events of the Ahsoka series. This backstory is vital because it shows what Ahsoka was doing during the years between the Rebels epilogue and her next appearance. She wasn't just searching for Ezra, she was attempting to pass on her knowledge, to train a new generation despite not being a traditional Jedi herself. Ahsoka had always rejected the rigid structures of the Jedi Order, so training someone like Sabine, who didn't fit the conventional mold of a Force-sensitive, makes perfect sense for her character. Their search for Ezra during this period took them across the galaxy. While specific adventures aren't detailed in current canon, we know they followed leads, investigated rumors about Thrawn's location, and presumably dealt with various threats along the way. The New Republic was still establishing itself, Imperial remnants were causing chaos, and the unknown regions remained as mysterious and dangerous as ever. What makes this partnership special is that neither woman is defined by the other. Ahsoka isn't trying to replace Ezra or Kanan as Sabine's mentor, and Sabine isn't trying to become Ahsoka's replacement for Anakin. They're two people brought together by circumstance, loss, and a shared determination to bring their friend home. It's a friendship between equals who respect each other's strengths and understand each other's pain. Number 7. The Map's Discovery. The Ahsoka series, which premiered on Disney Plus in August 2023, finally shows us what happens next in this years-long quest to find Ezra Bridger. Set approximately 9 ABY, about 4 years after the Rebels epilogue, the show reveals that Ahsoka and Sabine's search has hit countless dead ends, until a crucial break arrives. Morgan Elsbeth, a Night Sister and former Imperial magistrate, has been working with Grand Admiral Thrawn's loyalists to locate her master. She possesses a star map, an ancient artifact created by the Night Sisters of Dathomir, that can navigate to Peridea, a distant extragalactic world in another galaxy entirely where Thrawn has been stranded. This isn't just jumping to the unknown regions. This is leaving the entire Star Wars galaxy behind and traveling to another galaxy altogether. The scale of Ezra's sacrifice becomes even more apparent when you realize just how impossibly far he transported himself and Thrawn. Ahsoka and Sabine must race against time to stop Morgan and her allies, including two dark side Force users, Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll, from completing the map and reaching Thrawn. If Thrawn returns to the known galaxy, he could rally the Imperial remnants and threaten the fragile New Republic. It's no longer just about finding Ezra, it's about preventing another galactic war. The series beautifully depicts the tension between Ahsoka and Sabine, showing how their failed training relationship left emotional scars. Sabine is more determined than ever to find Ezra, willing to risk everything, including potentially dooming the galaxy, for a chance to bring him home. Ahsoka, traumatized by her experiences with Anakin's fall to the dark side, fears that Sabine's emotional attachments make her vulnerable to making catastrophic choices. It's essentially Ahsoka wrestling with the same questions the Jedi Order faced about attachment, but from a more nuanced perspective informed by her decades of experience. Without spoiling every twist of the Ahsoka series, the key revelation is that both Ahsoka and Sabine eventually make it to Peridea. They travel aboard a hyperspace ring pulled by Purrgil, navigating an impossible journey across the void between galaxies. It's a visually stunning sequence that emphasizes just how far these characters will go for the people they love. Number 8. Thrawn's Decade. Stranded. Before we get to the emotional reunion, we need to talk about what Grand Admiral Thrawn was doing during his nearly 10-year exile on Peridea. Because while Ahsoka was missing during the original trilogy, Thrawn was missing during an even longer period, and he definitely wasn't wasting his time. Peridea isn't just any random planet in another galaxy. According to Night Sister lore revealed in the Ahsoka series, this world is the ancient homeworld of the Dathomiri witches, the place where their order originated before migrating to Dathomir in the known galaxy thousands of years ago. The planet is orbited by the shattered remains of what appears to be a massive ringed structure, possibly an ancient megastructure or weapon. When Ezra and Thrawn arrived via Purrgil in 1 BBY, they crash-landed into a civilization that had been isolated from the wider galaxy for millennia. The indigenous population includes the Noti, peaceful nomadic people who travel in distinctive caravan vehicles, and the remnants of the ancient Night Sister civilization. But most crucially, Peridea is home to three powerful Night Sisters known as the Great Mothers: Mother Talzin, Mother Coral, and Mother Clotho. These witches survived on Peridea long after their order abandoned the planet, maintaining the old ways and waiting for a champion to arrive. Thrawn became that champion. Over the course of approximately 9 years, Thrawn transformed his exile into an opportunity. The Imperial Star Destroyer that crashed on Peridea, the Chimera, became his base of operations. Despite being stranded with limited resources and no way to contact the Empire, Thrawn methodically gathered allies, resources, and intelligence. He forged an alliance with the Great Mothers, who provided him with Night Sister magic and loyal undead stormtrooper warriors called Night Troopers. These soldiers, reanimated and held together by dark magic, served as Thrawn's army, a fusion of Imperial military might and ancient Dathomiri necromancy that's both terrifying and effective. Thrawn also spent years studying the local population, understanding their customs, and learning everything he could about Peridea's connection to the wider galaxy. His strategic genius didn't diminish during exile, it sharpened. He calculated that eventually, someone would come looking for him or Ezra, and he prepared accordingly. When Morgan Elsbeth's expedition finally arrived with the means to return home, Thrawn had a fully operational plan ready to execute. He'd spent nearly a decade preparing for this exact moment. The numbers are staggering when you consider them. Thrawn spent approximately 3,285 days on Peridea. That's roughly 78,840 hours of isolation, planning, and preparation. His crew, what remained of them, showed extraordinary loyalty to continue following his command for nearly a decade without reinforcement or resupply. The Chimera itself, despite being a crashed wreck, was maintained well enough to become space-worthy again once Morgan brought the necessary hyperspace ring. This level of discipline and organization showcases exactly why Thrawn is considered one of the greatest military minds in Star Wars history. What makes Thrawn's exile particularly interesting in the context of Ahsoka's story is the parallel. Both characters were removed from the galactic stage during roughly the same period. Thrawn from 1 BBY onward, Ahsoka from 0 BBY through at least 4 ABY. While the rebellion fought the Empire and Luke redeemed Vader, these two legendary figures were in completely separate situations, preparing for a confrontation that wouldn't happen for another decade. Their absence from the original trilogy era wasn't just coincidence. It was necessary setup for the conflicts to come in the New Republic era. Number 9. Reunion in Exile. The climax of the search for Ezra Bridger comes when Ahsoka and Sabine finally reach Peridea, an ancient world steeped in Night Sister magic and mystery. This planet exists in a different galaxy, making it perhaps the most remote location any Star Wars protagonist has ever traveled to. And there, living among the Nodi, small, peaceful, nomadic people, is Ezra Bridger. Exactly where he's been for nearly a decade. Ezra's reunion with Sabine is one of the most emotionally satisfying moments in recent Star Wars content. He's older, sporting a beard and wearing salvaged armor, but he's still fundamentally the same person, hopeful, clever, and deeply caring. He never gave up on the idea that his friends would find him, even after years of isolation on an alien world. When Sabine finally sees him and they embrace, it's a payoff to a story that began years earlier in Rebels, a promise kept across time, space, and galaxies. Ahsoka's role in this reunion is equally important. She's the one who believed the search was possible, who provided guidance and support, even when the odds seemed impossible. Her decades of experience, survival skills, and Force abilities were crucial in navigating the dangers of Peridea and confronting the threats they faced there. But more than that, Ahsoka represents the connection between generations. She bridges the Clone Wars era, the original trilogy's time frame, and now the New Republic era. The discovery of Ezra also confirms something crucial. Ahsoka's absence during the original trilogy wasn't meaningless isolation. She was positioning herself for this mission, building the skills and knowledge necessary to traverse galaxies and face impossible odds. While Luke was redeeming Vader and the rebels were fighting the Empire, Ahsoka was on her own path, one that required her to step back from galactic events so she could eventually step forward for this singular purpose. However, finding Ezra isn't the end of the story. Thrawn is also on Peridea, and he's been using his decade of exile to plan his return and rebuild his forces. The Ahsoka series ends with Thrawn successfully returning to the known galaxy, meaning the mission has both succeeded, Ezra was found, and failed, Thrawn escaped. Ahsoka and Sabine, meanwhile, are temporarily stranded on Peridea, setting up future stories about their return journey and the looming threat of Thrawn's resurgence. This resolution provides a satisfying answer to the question of where Ahsoka was during the original trilogy while opening new narrative possibilities. She wasn't hiding in cowardice or abandoning her principles. She was on a different path, one shaped by her unique experiences, her complicated relationship with the Force, and her dedication to the people she loves. Her story didn't end on Malachor, and it certainly didn't end with the original trilogy. Ahsoka Tano's journey continues, spanning galaxies and defying death itself. The Force is strong with this one. If this deep dive into Ahsoka's timeline ignited your Star Wars passion, smash that hype button and let us know what galactic mystery you want explained next. Your engagement guides our course through the stars.